I'd like to highlight this product called the Sota Biotuner, earlier referred to as the Brain Tuner. Um, I bought this a couple years ago on Amazon. Actually, it was $195 back then, so it has a significant percentage price increase since that time. It's $250, $249.95 with free shipping. A lot of people wonder what the heck this is. Now, I wanted to point this out from Amazon because it does have some customer reviews, 5 customer reviews, right? And they're all good. Okay, every single one of them said was happy with the product. I warmly recommend. Will be worth twice the price. Works well for moods. Think better, act better, like a natural Valium. That's an interesting thing to say. Now, the way this works, you see, the company can't. Well, as of anything, you can't make medical claims about anything there is, practically, right? But a lot of people seem to have very good feedback from this. And the original one was called the Brain Tuner. It was really more developed in Russia in the 1970s, I believe it was, when they had generals that were trying to get off of vodka. They had problems with generals drinking too much vodka. And they were trying to get them out of this, more like an alcohol rehab clinic. And they were having, withdrawal problems and different things from getting off of alcohol. So they were doing some research, and they started looking into like yoga, meditation and different things like that. And they all realized that, Russian research, they realized that the meditation, these people that really get into meditation, the shaman priests and people that really are religious, that pray and they get into this meditation, they start getting into this frequency. And they all do the same frequency. It doesn't matter what the religion is. But this frequency helps you with withdrawal symptoms, anxiety, depression, or withdrawal symptoms from getting off alcohol or drugs or anything like that. So the Russians did was they made a device that mimicked those frequencies, the exact frequencies the brain puts out. Now, they brought some of this technology over to the United States. I believe it was in the late 70s. But it's also interesting to note that Pete Townshend, the rock singer guy, the 1983, he was trying to get off of heroin, and he was in the UK. And the story goes, I don't think there's I read this several times, just repeating it, but give you the short version. He was on heroin, hooked on heroin. He found out about this brain tuner, which can help with getting off of drugs. Supposedly, he wanted to try it because he heard it had a good success rate. He got a whole bunch of heroin in him in the UK so he could fly over to the United States without having withdrawal symptoms. And when he got over here in the United States, they put this brain tuner on him, and he was able to kick the habit, where he was able to get off the drugs. Now, I have heard many stories that this damn thing works too good. Now, Sota Instruments will never make this claim because that's why they're in business. They only state it as a well-being device, feel-good device, that type of thing. You can experiment with it. They don't make many claims. They don't make any claims on it. But I do know that Robert Beck was working with this exact technology for many years. That was Dr. Robert Beck, Ph.D. And to quote one little, or kind of paraphrase what he said, it says, psychologists, counselors, and psychiatrists absolutely hate this thing because they're charging these big fees for hourly counseling and medication and stuff like that. And it seemed like after maybe a month or so of using this stuff for maybe 20 or 30 minutes a day, no more than 30 minutes, patients were no longer had the depression, no longer had the anxiety, were off the meds and didn't need the counseling, and thus they lost their fees. So supposedly the story goes that the anti-drug and the rehab clinics hate this thing too, because the old adage is, a patient cured is a customer lost. Now, in my book, that should not be. Why not just make the hurdle higher? In other words, you cure all diseases, You get rid of all types of anxiety, depression. You get rid of everybody that you get rid of all the problems with drug abuse, and everybody's on clean, healthy living standards. Why not just raise the bar, and then medical health practitioners take a new avenue, whereas going into longevity, why not have people make a new goal where people live hundreds of years old and they're mentally alert and physically fit and look the same as if they were 25 years old? Why not? Why not? Why not raise the bar a lot higher? They would have plenty of business. It's almost like stating, well, we can't have electric power tools because we're going to lose all the labor for on people that need to build things, because now what are these people going to do? Well, guess what? They could build better, they could build more. And that's the same way it's going to work with the medical community. So I do get very annoyed at them with their stupid myopic brains that they hate new ideas, because, well, it's like if you have a racket, you want the entrenched racket and you want to keep it at all costs. And I'm very much aware of how the devils work. But they're idiots. They're idiots, and they will fall victim to other devils like themselves at one point in time, no doubt. But this thing I have bought, and it was $195 a couple years ago. I use it. Actually, it can double as a TENS unit, transcutaneous electric nerve stimulation. Now, that's an FDA-approved unit, and it actually has a patent on it and everything like that. It can be used in a multiple number of ways for pain management, different things like that. Could even be used in certain ways for macular degeneration. So I would recommend that people have the money to spend to buy one of these things. It kind of gets into this. There's a couple frequencies that get into the Schumann Earth frequencies, and the two frequencies. Actually, this thing, if you look at it very carefully, there's like 6 frequencies, but there really are 3 frequencies, and the first 3 are for people who are not sensitive to electromagnetic sensitivity on their earlobes. In other words, you might feel a little, some people feel it, some people don't, but if you feel like you're extra sensitive, where this thing is on your earlobes and you feel a slight tingling, and you don't like that, now most people don't feel nothing, but you can turn it up where you feel it, so let me explain that. But I mean, you just have to turn it up high enough where the orange light is on, that's all. And in other words, there's 2 things that go on each earlobe, and they're wet, so they conduct electricity. And it's a very, very, very low frequency that's going through the brain. It's actually the same frequency that a lot of these people do when they get into yoga and praying, and they get in deep meditation. So it relaxes. It works to relax. Now, as I was stating, this frequency 4 through 6 are the same as 1 through 3. Except you will not feel, in the case of people who feel a little tingling, they don't like that, they can use settings 4 through 6. Now, setting 3 and 6 are basically the same thing as I was stating, because 1 is for people who are more sensitive to the tingling sensation if they feel that. Some people can't feel it anyway. But setting 3 and 6 are basically the same thing. That's the one Dr. Beck liked the best, because that was the same type of frequencies that the shaman priest and the meditators got into, and he thought that worked very good for relaxation. But it's kind of like an experimental thing. But like I said, the usefulness is beyond the brain tuner or biotuner, or the BT7 biotuner as they call it in some cases. It also can double as a TENS unit, and there's a number of ways you can use a TENS unit. Another one is even some like Dr. Robert Otto Becker, MD, different from Dr. Robert Beck, PhD. He wrote a book about treating macular degeneration with a TENS unit. So actually, if you have a problem with macular degeneration, you might want to experiment with some this device, using it as a TENS unit. And also, that's why I think it's worthwhile. It's actually 2 devices in one. And, I'm not trying to steer anybody wrong, because, like I stated, I got this thing myself, and if you look on Amazon, I think it's very good. You look on Amazon, 5 out of 5 people gave it 5 stars. So, it's been around. It's been sold for quite some time. It's not well known. Not well known. And I do get very annoyed at the, I'll call them the major medical money racket. Like I stated before, According to Dr. Beck, obviously he's not alive anymore. He fell off a roof doing some repairs on his own house. He fell off a roof and died of complications of that. Otherwise, I think he would have probably lived quite many years past that. But that's what happened. He had an accident. Dr. Robert Beck, Ph.D., did have an accident. He was one of the ones, though, that would accurately put out a lot of information about this device. And there was a lot of people at first welcomed it. But, you know, it's a revenue loser in a way. But like I stated, it's almost like if you came out with a power saw that cuts wood, and you say, oh, we don't need all this labor for people cutting wood by hand because we have a power saw. Well, maybe we have a better method of treating withdrawal symptoms for patients that are trying to get off of drugs, or people have anxiety or depression or anything like that. This device can be used over and over and over again. You put one 9-volt battery in it. You buy a rechargeable 9-volt battery in it, and I don't really think it wears out because I've used this quite a bit for a couple years, and it seemed like it always worked great for me. So, I mean, it's just like any other electronic device. It's probably going to last for a lot of years, and it seems to be very quality made by Sota Instruments. And just want to put this out here because people should be aware. This probably, in my opinion, it could save people a lot of money in different ways. And it actually is 2 devices in one, even though they don't state it on here. It's actually could double as a TENS unit. It's a way to make it into a TENS unit. And nobody on Amazon seemed to be dissatisfied with it. 5 out of 5, 5 stars. And if I reviewed it, none of these reviews are mine. If I reviewed it, I would give it a 5 stars also. So like I stated, I own the device and I've used it for a while. I thought it was good. I thought it was very good. So just want to put this out here, gets a little more awareness. I know I do some videos on silver and stuff, and I'm actually going to get into a little bit about silver for healing and silver for regeneration. But true wealth is actually partly comes from true health. So number 1, stay on with true health. And probably going to change a little more emphasis on some of these devices. Now, I could probably show some demonstrations on that. I want to get in with a friend of mine that has like media equipment versus doing it this way, but still, I'm giving you some straight scoop about here. This is actually a couple devices in one, and it is very, very good, very, very worthwhile in my opinion.